Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about certainly how to land a job offer in Japan, some of the details that we can share from our collective experience at KinderKids International School. So there's a couple of things we're going to look at in our journey, and we're going to call these the big little things. And it's often the things that are overlooked, the things that people don't put a lot of effort or energy into when they are applying for a job. So we're going to go through the journey. We're going to look at before we apply, before the interview, during the interview, after the interview or interviews, and then finally getting the job offer. And never underestimate the big little things. These are the little tiny details that mean so much to an application. This is what we call it in KinderKids, the big little things. It's like the polish, the things that make your application stand out more so than any of the other applications. So before applying, let's take a look. The first piece of advice that we have is make sure that you find your match. So this means, there's so many companies here today at the job fair, and they all have, different reasons for being, different objectives, different styles, different cultures. And it really is important that you find the one that fits with what you value and what's important to you. Because if there's a mismatch there, it's going to show. It's going to show in the interview. It's going to show in the performance as well. So this is important to make sure that you find the culture that's right for you. And that will require a little bit of research. So, of course, it is really difficult if you don't speak Japanese and you're applying to a Japanese company. So use automated AI tools to help you translate web pages and things like that. Make sure you go on to some of the chat rooms to find out what people are talking about. Try and contact someone on LinkedIn that works there and get some internal information, for example. But focus on the companies that you want to work for. And the reason why that's important is that that's really going to make you work hard in the interview process and make sure that you're showing the best of yourself, which makes you stand out. And that's a big little thing. So consider also your priority. So some people, we all need to work. We all need to get a salary. That's a very important thing. But there are also other priorities too. So think about right now is your priority the amount of money that you get, in which case look for the jobs that are going to get that goal for you. Is it the work culture? Is it diversity and inclusion? Whatever it is, look for companies that have that and apply for them first. Okay, so I think I've found my match. I've got a couple of companies that I'm interested in working for. The first thing that we will say is hedge your bets. Don't just apply for one company and really hope that you've got the job. You might not. So, we're saying somewhere between 3 and 4 jobs at the same time, apply for them is a reasonable figure. Now, the company is going to give you some instructions. Right? They're going to say, hey, we've got an interview coming up. This is what we want you to do. So make sure you check the details carefully. Now, I'm here representing KinderKids, and I'll give you a little bit of information. In the information about KinderKids on Gaijin Pod, we have hidden a question in there. And so we know when you apply whether you've read it or not by whether you followed the instructions. So that's one way that we can tell if someone's really invested or just flicking through and just applying for every job. So do check the instructions carefully, because this is often the first test an employer is giving you. If you can't follow the instructions at that point, how are you going to do the job that they want? There's a mismatch there. So it's really important, another one of those big little things. So follow the instructions to the letter. Now, also, a lot of jobs will ask you for a cover letter, and make sure that you take the time to write a good cover letter. There's a lot of advice available online. Do not use generative AI, because we know what that looks like. It makes everything the same. That's not how you're going to stand out. And also make sure you run your cover letter through a standard Word document or, Grammarly or some kind of an app that checks spelling and grammar to make sure that it's correct. Because particularly in my case, we're hiring people who teach English. We want to make sure that it's correct. So if we see an application with lots of spelling errors in it, it's not a good look. So that's something to be aware of. And then finally, make sure you apply for the job. Now, we're also going to share some things that we have seen. These may surprise you, but in the interest of transparency, we're going to share exactly what we've seen. So my company is an international kindergarten. So what age range do you think we teach? Probably high schoolers? No? Yeah, they're babies, right? We teach really young kids. And if you take the time to look at KinderKids on Gaijin Pod, you'll see that we're really clear about this. And all of the things that involves, including changing nappies and all kind of things like that. But you'd be surprised, sometimes we get people in the interview and they say, what? I'm working with babies? Like, yeah, it's in our name. We're an international kindergarten. That means we're definitely dealing with children younger than 6. So that's something that we've heard. Also, sometimes we encounter applicants that, they don't know which company they've applied for. So I know that when you're trying to find a job, you're going to apply to lots of jobs. That's good. But take the time to remember the name of the company, right? Because sometimes we've been called all kinds of things in interviews. And, it's kind of a bit like dating. If someone doesn't remember your name, it's like, yeah, let's clean that up a little bit. So, yeah, know who you're applying for. And the other kind of red flag is applying for jobs that have a salary range that is not what you will work for. Right, that's a big one. So I know not all companies put out the salary range. KinderKids, we do. We're very transparent with that. But sometimes we get people and we get to the job offer, we say, we're really feeling good about this, and then they ask for a salary that's double what we've actually published. And it's like, love the enthusiasm, but that's not possible for us. So again, please make sure that what is on there is what you're happy and willing to work for. So going into before the interview, you may have heard this before, the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. I cannot stress how important that is, particularly in finding a job and interviewing. So preparation. So let's say you've got the job lined up, you've got the interview set, something out of your control has come up. It happens. That's okay. What you do and how you respond will tell a lot about you as a person. So if you do need to reschedule, it does happen. Our advice is do the following. One, apologize for the inconvenience. It's a very Japanese way of doing things, but we are in Japan. So say, look, something's come up. If you're comfortable sharing what that is, please do. And then offer several additional time slots and say, look, I'm available next week on these days at these times. I'll be as flexible as I can to work. Because remember, you've got a schedule, so do we. So we're working together on this, and so we want some flexibility there. So try to be flexible. Also, during the journey, you may have accepted another job offer from another company, right? And if that's happened, that's great. Congratulations, first of all, if you're in that situation. Well done. Now, what is the professional thing to do to maintain a good reputation in recruiting circles? Well, we would say please contact the companies that you have outstanding interviews for and let them know. I've accepted another position at another company. Thanks for your time. Just wanted to let you know. That does a lot for your reputation as a candidate. It shows that you actually care about our time as much as your own. We will then respond and say, well done you, but keep us in mind in the future if something changes, because you don't want to burn any bridges. All right, so the next time you might apply in the future, this information is still sitting in a system somewhere and they will recall that. So please remember that time is valuable. We're not getting any more of it, are we? All right, so your time's valuable, our time's valuable. So it's a relationship. Now, at KinderKids, we have a DIY booking system for interviews. And so this means that we just want things to be simple, clear, and easy. So we have an online system. You go in, you pick the time that is good for you to have an interview. It's confirmed instantly, and then we're good to go. So that's what you can expect if you do apply from KinderKids. However, we do sometimes encounter no-shows, which is really odd to us at KinderKids because you made the time in the application yourself. So that's a bit of an unusual behavior, and we feel that no one should be ghosted. A company shouldn't ghost you, right? So we think fair is fair. So if you've made the application and you've booked the appointment, and then something's come up or you've accepted another job, please just tell us, and then we can move on, and then we can make sure that everyone's happy. So preparation then, in-person interviews. So it's generally going to be two types you'll have, online or in-person. Check on the dress code. Some companies have them. Some companies really care about that. Some companies don't. KinderKids doesn't really focus on that kind of thing. But just to be sure, talk to the recruiter and say, is there a dress code? Is there something I should be aware of? Because you don't want to turn up looking like something they don't want to hire. Check the location. So where is the interview going to be? And by checking, I mean like not just on Google, like actually Street View, find the building, know where you're going. Because interviews are stressful, right? You don't want to be running around and the train is late and then you're going to turn up and you're going to be all flustered and not be able to present the best possible version of yourself. So check the location, time the journey. Again, Google Maps isn't particularly good for this, so actually time the journey, and better yet, go there. Take a walk, find it, make sure that you're on time, because being on time is not exclusive to Japan. It's pretty much a global standard. And arrive early, but not too early. All right, so you might have heard the 10 to 15 minute rule in Japan. If you're on time, you're late. Right, that kind of thing. We suggest 10 to 15 minutes is good enough. If you turn up half an hour, 40 minutes early, which some people do, you're also impacting on the company's schedule as well. So 10 to 15 minutes is a good rule of thumb for turning up. Now, if it's online, again, check the dress code. Don't assume because it's online you can wear your pajamas. You can't. And this is another piece of advice. Select your location. So where are you going to do the interview? So you're doing it online. Is it at home? Is it in an internet cafe? Is it in a shopping mall? Where are you going to do this? And make sure that the location is quiet. And if that's not possible, make sure you've got some sound dampening software on your device so you can block out all the sound. Make sure you've got good lighting, because everyone looks better with good lighting, and no distractions if that's avoidable. Then check the internet connection. You'd be surprised how many times the internet just drops out and we're back and forth. That's not good. Make sure you've got your device set up and ready. It works, it's charged, you've got charger cables, preparation, right? And finally, be in the space ready to do the interview beforehand. So just like the in-person interview, 10 minutes before, be in the space 10 minutes before. You have time to reset your mind, think about what you're going to talk about, and present the best possible self. Now, here are some things. Now, please try not to laugh, but these are real examples. We've had people online interviewing in their pajamas, which was interesting. We've actually had an interview in a toilet cubicle, and we know that because we could hear the flushing and other sounds as well. That was an interesting experience. And we've also had interviews where people are taking care of their own children in the interview. Now, I understand things come up, but go back to the advice we gave before. If that happens, we know life happens, change the interview date, reschedule it so that you can do it, because you're not going to be able to give your children the care that they need. You're not going to be able to give the interview the energy it needs. So that's another piece of advice. And also make sure you've got that good internet connection, because we've also had some bad internets. If you do need any special considerations, no matter the company, ask for it. If you need something, some consideration, some thought, ask for it. You'll be surprised how accommodating companies can be. Practice, practice, practice is the next piece of advice. And then practice some more. So stand in front of the mirror, introduce yourself, practice potential questions, and keep going over and over and over and over it so that when you're asked the questions in the interview, you're ready to give a really good presentation. So during the interview, sell yourself with confidence. Remember, you're there, you're good at your job, you want to show that you're good at your job. But please remember that while you may have applied for many jobs, and that's the advice that we've given today, the company themselves will also be meeting many, many, many people. And so you've got to think about how you can stand out from the crowd. And these are some figures from KinderKids. I can't speak for any other company. Last year, we had 3,024 applicants. 27% of them were interviewed, so that's 1 in 4. And then 5% were given a job offer. So it's very competitive. So companies are different. That's KinderKids. That's who I represent today. But 5%. So do you want to be in that 5%? Then follow some of the advice or get some other advice. So moving on then, building the connection in the interview. So think about the company you're applying for and the job role specifically, and then sell your skills and connect them directly to the job role. All right. So we're an international kindergarten, so we're looking for experience with young children. We're looking for experience with, care, emotional development, things like that. Whatever the job is, try to directly connect it and talk about those connections. Be in the middle. So what we mean by this is, don't make your answers too short or too long. It's a bit like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So if it's too short, by short, I mean 1 to 2 word answers. How are you today? Fine. Okay, that's a bit scary. So elaborate. But we also don't need your life story. So we don't want to sit there for 15 minutes hearing about when you were 2, you wanted to be a Power Ranger or whatever. So it's a balance. So we want to make sure that you hit the spot there. Think about the question that you're being asked and think about why the company is asking the question. All right? So, why do you want to work at this company X? Why would they ask that question? Because they genuinely want to hear the answer and they want to know, have you thought about it? Or is this just a job that you've applied for because it's a, 1 of 10 job that's available? So think about that. And we recommend that you prepare maybe 3 to 5 considerate questions about the job role. This is to make sure that you know what you're possibly agreeing to do and also making sure we've got that good fit. So you don't want to walk out of the interview and not feel confident that you know. And a good interviewer will make sure you've got that information, but just in case they've forgotten something, they're human too, make sure that you've got some questions to ask at the end. And then finally, we recommend you ask about the decision timeline, because this can influence a lot about the communications that are happening after. So when can I hear from you? What's the process look like? What are the steps that I need to go through? So examples that we've experienced, skills not connected to the job role. So at KinderKids, we teach English, we teach Mandarin, Chinese, we teach Japanese, 3 languages, but maybe someone will focus on a language that's not included. So my skills, I speak Italian, and I'm fluent in Italian. It's like, but that's great, love language learning, not really relevant to this position. Another one is an answer to a question, I don't know. Just make something up if you have to, but yeah, don't answer that. And not having answers prepared. So when it comes to the end of the interview, any questions? No. Okay, that's not a nice way to end the interview, so let's not do that. After the interview then, we recommend that this is a learning opportunity, so reflect on the interview as soon as possible. Write down some of the questions that you were asked, because they're going to be asked in other companies too, and write down your question, the answers that you gave, okay? And then think about how you can make them better, because each opportunity is a chance for you to get better at what you're doing. Yeah? So as you're doing more interviews, just like any other skill, you're going to get better and better and better the more practice you have. Be patient as well. So I know in today's world we want instantaneous answers, but it's not always possible. So we recommend you send a thank you email to your contact person. It's just a really nice courtesy, makes you stand out. Better than that though, send an actual note, because now in the digital age, we like getting bits of paper. Little handwritten note just says, thanks for your time. I loved learning about your company. Really makes you stand out as well. And then we say, please wait until the timeline has lapsed. And that's important because it's another one of those instructions, right? So if we say we will get back to you within 5 working days, then please wait 5 working days. And then if you haven't heard anything, reach out to the company. It is possible. They're human. They might have forgotten. Give them a little nudge at that time. Now, the job offer then. Okay, you've got your job offer. Next thing is you need to make sure you've got all the information you need. This is a big decision. It's a big decision for you. You need to make sure you're fully confident. I know what I'm getting into. I agree to the terms. If you're not sure, ask more questions. Ask yourself, do you really want this job? Is this what you want to do? And then can you agree to the conditions? Now, KinderKids will give you everything in writing. It's a practical manual of information so that full transparency, you know exactly what this job is, what you're agreeing, what you're paid, what your benefits are. Make sure that you understand and you agree. And then talk about the money. I know certain people don't want to talk about the money, but it's important that you do. So make sure you've got, this is what I'm getting paid, these are the benefits I get, everything up front before you agree to do the job, because you don't want there to be any surprises later on. Okay? And some examples we've experienced, people accepting a position but not understanding the position. So we'll say, this is your salary. Oh, I didn't know that. It's in 5 documents that you've signed your name to. So we've done our bit, please do your bit. And also asking for a salary that's not within the published range. So if you look at KinderKids, you'll see we've got that published range. That's what we're able to pay. So if you don't want to work for that, it probably means that that's not a job you should apply for. Okay, you didn't get the job at this time, so that's okay. We would suggest that you email again if you really want that job, restating your commitment to the position. Saying, okay, I missed the job this time. I'm still dedicated to working for you. I will work, I'll get some experience, for example. Do ask why. Not all companies will give you that feedback, but some do. We're one of them. We do try to give personalized feedback, and maybe it's experience related. Maybe it could just be that there were 10 really high quality applicants for that one job that was available, and you could have been one, but this time you weren't. There are many possible reasons. So ask for the feedback, but don't be offended if they don't give it to you, and then reapply when you've built the experience. And then hopefully you'll get the job that you're looking for. And that's a little piece of advice from us. Hope you found it useful. So good luck finding the right fit for you. Thank you.